Bruce looked at me and he goes, Brandon, you're at the most creative spot you'll ever be in your career right now. After this moment, it will be less about you creating and more about you teaching others to create and then managing those jobs as you
That's
create.
a pivotal moment right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he goes, you step past this line. He goes, you take that other spot. He goes, what you're ready for and you should take is best for your family. Mm-hmm. I'm just telling you right now that this is the threshold.
What's up with that, guys? Welcome to another episode. I think it's episode 52. Today I got Brandon Adams with me, founder of a Smoking Gun creative agency, artist, muralist, all of the above. You know, a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Everybody tuning on Twitch, thanks for tuning in. Y'all rock. I don't do intros on my show, dude. I just dive right in.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little about the painting. Obviously, we got this one here. You just told me this was an album cover.
Yeah.
How'd that come about with that?
Yeah. So literally, I was doing a show in Deep Ellum, and Cure for Paranoia walks in. I didn't know who they were at the time. They were just 4 or 5 guys that were just kind of walking in and checking out my stuff. And as I started talking to them and hearing what they were kind of vibing out of it, they were kind of geeking out on some of the stuff I was doing, which I was, I thought that was really cool, And so we switched social medias or whatever, and then randomly I was in New York, 6 months later or whatever, and I walked into a bar and they were playing inside of it.
It sounds like an opening to a joke.
What are the odds of that happening?
Right.
So I literally walked up to them and they were like, as surprised as I was. And then, I did another gallery show later, and I invited Bun to it, Bun B, to come play my show, and he came. He's a friend of mine, so he came to that show, and they actually opened up for him.
Okay.
And so as they opened up for him, I introduced them to each other, and Bun was like, man, these guys are one of the greatest bands that's ever opened up for me. To be quite honest, most talented, well-rounded. He's like, we're definitely gonna see if we can get these guys taken off. So,
pretty cool.
So they asked me if I would do an album cover for them, and I did. So this was it. It was called "This Was the Art Show," was what they labeled it.
Right on. That's pretty cool. They used it just like this, no modifications. So if you
No modifications, yeah.
look it up on iTunes, looks just like
Yeah.
that. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
I think it's "I Am the Art Show." Yeah.
So if you,
Yeah.
that's cool. You can scroll through iTunes and see your all
Yeah.
artwork right there.
Yeah. It's cool.
What inspired you to get into painting in general, though?
I've had people ask me where that kind of where the seed was for that, and then my grandmother used to give me a pencil and pad to keep me quiet in church.
Okay.
And so she would just hey baby, just go ahead and draw a little bit over there, to keep me from squirming around, because thoughts are always bouncing through my head all the time. So it was easier for me if I was sketching or doodling, and it really kind of turned into a little bit of therapy for me, to draw and sketch. Growing up, I thought I was going to be a sports superstar, every other kid, right? Yeah. And so, then my senior year, I was really pushing, the baseball thing, and so my mother asked me, she was like, hey, what are you doing with that last elective? And I was like, man, I think I'm going to get in a weight training class, I'm going to beef up a little bit, see if I can get some people checking me out or whatever. And she's like, well, what if this baseball thing doesn't work out? And I was like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, not an option.
Not an option, right? And she said, well, if you just do me a favor and take art, she said, you're so talented at it, you do it all the time. I was like, nah. I was like, I got goals. I'm trying to get this thing done, right? Mm-hmm. And so I ended up taking art my senior year and did really well at it. Then I went off to play baseball, or took all my options that I had. And then I had one last option. A guy asked me if I would come to Sweden and play in a baseball league over there. So I went over there, and I went over there and met those guys and tried out and made the team. And I was sitting in a dorm in the middle of nowhere, and was super homesick. And
so you were deep into baseball.
Oh yeah. No, it was life forever.
Okay.
So I've played so much baseball I can't even tell you. But lucky to play with some good friends that I have still to today, you know. And so, you know, I got into that, and I got over there, and you know, the people that were, you know, housing me in my dorm, they saw how homesick I was, and they literally bought me a ticket to come home. It kind of forced my hand, you know, and I wanted to be thankful to say, like, thank you so much for buying me this, but on the other hand, I was like, I still want to kind of experience, you know, what it is over here, but but I took the ticket, and when I came home, I went and interviewed with the Art Institute of Dallas, and I took all my illustrations, my paintings, and everything that I'd done from that senior year, and they were like, obviously, we want to take you in here. Your hand skills are really good. Like, what do you want to do? And I said, whatever makes the most money. And so they put me in 3D animation, and then that was it. So that was what really spurred that transition from what started me to get into school and start trying to figure it out.
Okay. So you went to the Art Institute in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yep.
Oh, man. My friend Jake went there.
Yeah.
What's your, like, favorite type of project to get into? Is it the painting? Is it the 3D animation? Is it the Illustrator?
Well, you know, quite honestly,
the shoes.
You know, shoes are cool. I mean, you know, shoes are, you know, everybody out there who's doing shoes, man, mad respect for you guys, because you don't get enough love for the amount of time and effort that it takes to do those.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, I would much rather do a mural. It's going to take me just as long to do a full-size mural as it is to get a pair of shoes. I'm going to get paid way more for that mural than I am for that pair of shoes. Yeah. And for some reason, people don't understand the time that goes into that, you know. And so, you know, respect to everybody who does that. There's some killer shoes out there. I'm a super shoe junkie. And, you know, I just, you know, customizing shoes is probably not my favorite, but it's a cool vehicle to do stuff with. Murals, I think, are the most fun for me.
I can see that.
You know, it's the one thing that, like, if you go do a painting or whatever, right, you got to go talk to galleries and interview with them, and then you get traction with them, and then where's your placement, who do they have coming in, it's how many eyeballs, and it's all about, you know, somebody flipping or buying it, right? And so murals for me are more about the world seeing it, right? Like, I've painted several murals in my hometown. I'm 5 generations from Greenville, Texas. I don't know if you guys know where that's at, but it's northeast of Dallas, about 45 minutes. And I've done so many murals in that downtown area, which was a really dying segment of the city, right? And so a long time ago, it was a really budding, you know, part of the city, and it just kind of, everyone moved away from it, and so all the buildings were old and decrepit and whatever. And so I've started putting murals up for the last, I don't know, 10 years in there. But I get so many people that drive by and say, thank you for spending some time in our city and beautifying the place that I live, you know. And it's probably the most rewarding, because a piece of art gets tucked away in a gallery for a few sets of eyes. A mural is up for everyone, and there is no charge for that. I mean, you just get to experience what other people are living in their daily lives. You know, you just... Yeah. The exposure is there for you to share something with someone.
How do you go about picking a location? I mean, obviously you get commissioned sometimes, but if you're just going to go throw something up, what's your, like, ideal location you look for?
So my ideal location is a heavy traffic area.
Right, that makes sense.
I look at the wall, like what it is, like what's the shape of it, like brick, corrugate, plaster, like depending on what it is. And then I got to think of what shape it's in, right? So if it's an old building and it's cracking through the middle, well, guess what? My painting's going to be cracking in no time. So even if I patch that thing and whatever, it's just the parts and pieces are falling off. Now my paint is going to help seal that and make the life of that wall longer. But I also have to think about, like, what shape it's going to be in a year, and what kind of love and care I have to give that wall as it goes on. So I look at the wall, I look at the space in front of it, and then I think if it's a heavy traffic area, you know, then the last part is, when I pick this wall, is this person going to give me total freedom for the wall? I just don't do walls that are, you know, really advertising for anybody. I'm not about that. I'm about sharing a message to the city.
I've noticed that you don't really do, like, advertisements or, like, logo business type deals. You're all about a message. Every one of your pieces has, like, a message behind it.
Yeah. You know, I actually get a lot of calls for murals that have business side of it, and I very rarely will I do any of those things, because unless it's like ultimate exposure for me, like I did a big wall for 7-Eleven in the heart of downtown Dallas, which was really cool. But it was still a message, and it was about belief, belief in yourself and things like that. So if I get one of those calls for those other murals, I'll call my buddies who do that stuff, or somebody who needs the job.
Okay.
And I'll point out ones who I'll see the concept come in. They say I want this, and I got 4 or 5 buddies that, man, I've given $20,000 jobs to, right, just to pass it along to make sure that we're feeding each other. I'm all about, there's 2 types of mentality. There's last meal mentality, and there's buffet mentality.
Yeah, the scarcity.
I don't believe there's only one hamburger for Estofado.
No.
I believe there's buffet and there's enough for all of us.
Yeah, we can all eat out here.
We can all eat.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. People that operate in the mind of like scarcity, and they're just holding themselves back and holding people around them back too. Mm-hmm. I don't get down with that.
Well, it's insecurity at the end of the day.
True.
It's like,
yeah.
People don't truly believe that they have a value to themselves if they think that I need to shove you down. And I'm an analogy guy. I grew up with some words being put in my head the entire time. My grandfather used to tell me, there's 2 ways to have the biggest building in town. You can work as hard as you can and build your building up, or you can focus on tearing everybody else's building down.
Yeah, I like that. It's like crabs in a bucket mentality.
Yeah. Choose who you are,
Right. Yeah, it's definitely a decision you got to make out there.
Yeah.
All right, so highlight a low light for me. What's one of the struggles you've had doing one of your murals? Has one gone wrong?
Oh yeah, man. So I'm all about portraits as well, right? So I love the portrait side of it, because I think that the eye contact is everything. Like I feel like you're really communicating with someone when you lock eyes with them. Otherwise, you're I don't know, messaging and stuff doesn't quite flow if there's not a connection. Mm-hmm. So being portraits, I think skin tone is everything. I think the tones of what you put in there, I think, all those pieces that go into it. So a biggest thing that I've had is I love these pop colors, these really bright colors to kind of set off. Mm-hmm. Well, if you paint, those pop colors are eat up by the sun. They're not as UV, resilient as some of the other colors. And so over time, I've gone back to something I'm really proud of. And a year or 6 months or 2 years later, you go back and the colors are washed, and I'm like,
that's gotta suck.
I'm like, damn, I gotta get this thing back together. I gotta go out and buy a color that is gonna be that. May not be the exact thing that I wanted, but I gotta go back to make sure that thing's right.
I didn't think about that. So you're having to kind of weatherproof rather your paintings, or just think about the weather.
Yeah, I try not to put any kind of coating over the top of them.
Okay.
I mean, they're a living, breathing thing, right? Everything is going to change over time. But some of the paints are just completely, scared of the UVs, and so when they go, they'll turn white. Like a neon pink will turn white. And so if you are using that as contrast, and the contrast completely goes away, and it fades next to a pink on white, and next thing you get 2 white things, it's like my image is gone.
It just eats the color right out of it.
Yeah, just right gone. Yeah, so it's something that you really got to focus on, is like picking the colors, making sure if anything says neon on it or infra's sick, great colors, don't last. Indoors, perfect. Outdoors, not so perfect. So
yeah, got to have the right tool for that job, right? Yeah. Speak about how you use layering in your paintings, because that kind of was interesting to me when you were explaining it to me, how you'll take something like this and go about it with layers. Mm-hmm. Instead of, because when you think about painting, I guess in my head I think of someone just painting the whole thing. Yeah. But you do yours kind of in like steps. Yeah. And just kind of get into that a little bit. Yeah, and so just a couple of different things. So I use a couple of techniques as I'm painting. I squint, at the painting to see where the color values are. So I take away the details, and I'm just seeing lights and darks. Okay. By squinting at it. Yeah. And so by doing that, I have to build up those shadows or build up highlights where I go through and think that it's separating correctly. So basically, I guess that sounded crazy, but at the end of the day, like, you'll go through and you'll sketch it. You get your colors in, you get your basic, wash over the top of it, and then I'm just building up highlights and knocking in shadows. Sometimes those are, blues or purples or whatever, or blacks or whites, but sometimes it's, these really pop colors that kind of go in there. And so then I look at contrast, and then I'll slide away from it. If I slide away from it
and I have enough value change that I can tell what's going on. I use a lot of techniques that I've done from, like I said, I went to the Art Institute of Dallas, so that'll be the last time I plug that. But I learned through Photoshop, right? And as you build files in Photoshop, everything is on top of it.
That's what I was about to get into.
Right?
Yeah.
And so the way you start to think and process your imagery is through that, like overlays and shadowing and things like that, right? I see some other guys out there, even the guy that taught me text was like, that dude is, he can map stuff out and just work his way across. I'm not built like that. I don't do solid colors, in certain areas, and his are so crispy and mine looks terrible if I try to do that. So I think individually you got to do what you're supposed to do. How does your mind work? Does your mind see layers, or does your mind see like, I'm going to start in the left corner and I'm going to work to the bottom right corner?
Yeah.
It's all about how you see it.
I think I'm a layers guy.
Yeah.
Because even just like piecing together like videos and stuff, I'm thinking in layers because that's how Premiere is. It's all layers, and that's just what I came up learning with. So that's how my brain's working, I guess. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yep.
What about this guy, dude? Let's talk about a little BADAMS here.
So this is my character BADAMS. I've gotten to the point where I really love diversity. I love in my friendship, in my daily walk. I think I get really tired of like all the division that's out there. And I've really just focused on like, hey man, I don't really care what you look like. Put a bag over your head. It's all about your actions. That's who you are to me. And if you're good people, man. And so every shirt is individually painted to be stylistically that human. The traits that they do, how they work, how they carry themselves, how nice are they. Those are the individual traits that come out of this character. And then he's got just a paper bag on his head. So,
and you 3D print these, right?
Yeah. Started out with a sketch, worked its way into a 3D print. Was a little bit more of a less gestural pose to begin with, and then
I saw more gestural. I saw one where his brain was all like, it looked like the machine like broke or something.
It did, yeah.
That was cool though.
Yeah,
I liked it.
So literally, like as they're going up, I learned a lot about like 3D printing as I was doing these. But if you don't have the correct posts in certain places, like when the nozzle goes around the top, if it doesn't have anything, it'll just start to spray, right? And so it just had this big nest of stuff in there, and I was like, to me, that's pretty cool too, right? Because it got all the way up to about, I guess, mouth level or eye level on the bag, and so I just put it all together like it was hair and exploding out of it, and I was like, this is a whole nother concept of like blow your mind, like. But it was really cool, so I did that. I glued it in place, then I resined it, and then I painted it, and I resined it again, and ended up pretty cool. So it was actually one of the first ones to go in the set.
Oh, I bet. If you made a couple of those, I bet they'd go.
Yeah.
Where can people get those at, man?
Yeah, so my website, BADAMSgallery.com. You can always check me out on Instagram at BADAMSArt. And then there's links to go through both of those things. But, yeah, man, hit me up. I'd love to spread the word on this. This to me is...
this is like a passion project for you.
This is a passion project. Yeah, this is just me trying to spread love, and tell everybody, like, I'm accepting of everybody, right? And I hope we kind of share that message, and we can just pass this on. Like, man, forget all that nonsense, Like, I want to see you. I really want to see you, not what everybody's telling me I need to see about you.
No, I love it. Dude, also, speaking of your Instagram, I saw on there you made, like, this table. Like a resin table, and you used your old cans.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, talk to me about that.
So, as you go to start, building stuff, especially painting murals, like some of the murals I've done are, gosh, I don't know, 30 feet by 120, 150 feet long, right? You go through a lot of cans as you're doing that, and I hate just like going and tossing them, because there's a lot of like history and life that goes with those things, right?
You get a connection with them.
Yes, so like, they all have like a unique spatter of paint or a run, or sometimes the nozzle just gets screwed up and it starts doing weird stuff, and as you go to clean it does actions down the side of the can. You get stuff on your hand and that's on there, and so they're really unique, and I just thought, why not use these, right? And so I built a box, I poured a layer of resin in it, and then I stacked all these cans in there, and then I poured resin to completely encapsulate it, and then I sanded it and cut it all out, and
It looks badass.
It ended up being very expensive. It was my first resin project, and I was like, I had no idea how much resin costs until I did that project.
You found out quick.
Oh my gosh, it was $500 in resin that I spent on that one little table, and I was like, I'll never recoup this, but
that can sell for so much more, though.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You can recoup that cost easy.
Oh, absolutely. But at the time, like, I was just doing it as a for me thing,
just for fun,
you know, and playing with it, and then it just kept pouring into it or whatever. So then I went and bought some legs and had those made, and then I put it all together, and man, I love it. It's in my house. My wife kind of stole that, and she was like, "This is going here for us." So yeah, there's a few things that she'll steal from me, but everything, I always say everything's for sale, but the ones that are made with my family are not.
No, that's interesting. I love all that resin stuff, man. There's a lot of like people out there that make like resin guitars, and I kind of want to get into that myself. And just, I don't know, man. I think it's so cool that you can just like pour it on there and make your own thing, and trim it all down to however whatever shape you want. I don't know, I'd love the transparency of it all.
Yeah, I got to where I started doing resin. It's got a lot of fume to it.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, you smell like it. And it takes a long time for the staging of things, because I started building, you know, painted layers inside the resin. So I pour resin in different levels, and then I started painting through it so I could kind of tell a story as I was going through it, right? For another project. Like I had a spray can that was spraying against a wall, and you could see that it was graffitied on the wall, but the resin was built out maybe 6 or 8 inches deep. And then I had big spray, medium spray, small spray, little spray, all the way down to the can.
Yeah.
But when you turn it and look at it, it looks like it's blowing out onto the wall. I mean, it's one of my favorite pieces, you know. But there's so much story you can tell. I did a table for Jason Kidd, the Mavericks head coach, at his house, and they saw some of the other stuff that I did, and they wanted me to do a table for them. I ended up doing quite a few things for their house, but I also did that same process for that table. That they eat at every single day, right? And so it's a wild graffitied table in the middle of a really pristine, nice home.
Isn't that crazy how like all these like nice ass houses, they just want like wild style graffiti everywhere?
Yeah, well, I think it's cool. Like I think people just want to be in connection with either a part of their past, you know, something that makes them feel grounded. Because I mean, look, man, the more we do in our jobs, the better we do in our lives and our career, the more we go through this wave of like, I want to get some things because I never had some things.
Right.
You know? And then you get to the point where you're like growing and you're like, oh man, look, I'm not that I'm proving it to everybody else, but I'm doing things for myself that make me feel happy. You know, that's like, that was really cool. I achieved something, you know? But no matter how far up you go, those are things, right? You have to have things in life, and then sometimes your taste just goes up with the income that you have, right? Mm-hmm. But no matter what, like you always want to stay grounded and connected to that, who you were and where you were back then. It's like, and sometimes that just feels like home, you know?
No, I totally think so. I totally think that because, I mean, that's what I would have all over my house. It just reminds me of the streets, man, like skating in the street. You know, I kind of want my house to look like that too.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, it's fun, man.
So let's kind of switch gears here and smoking gun. Mm-hmm. How did you come about this whole idea, and how did you end up starting your own agency?
Yeah, so gosh, man, I've been doing this for 27 years now. If you can't see, it's all that gray hair in the front there. But man, I've worked for let's start out. I worked for GTE Super Pages. I worked for a minister named Tony Evans in South Oak Cliff. I worked for Dr. Pepper. I worked for an agency called Brand Agent. I worked for the marketing arm. I worked for Diesel. You know, I worked for a toy company called Hexbug. I ran that place for 13 years as a creative. So I started that as an art director and worked my way all the way up to vice president over there for 13 years. And the owner,
Hexbug, like the toy?
Yeah.
That was you?
Yep.
No shit.
Yep. And so, you know, for 13 years I worked there, and, you know, the owner of the company was super nice to me, and he was like, hey, man, you build this team how you see fit, you know. And so I did everything from commercials, global commercials, to, you know, marketing, to social, to all the packaging. I got to go spend, you know, quite a bit of time over in China looking at the procurement of the packaging on the other side and helping me learn that side of it as well. So,
awesome.
You know, there was a whole bunch of that. And then, all that is really cool, but you're doing things for other people,
Yeah.
You're helping them. And even though I became an integral part in some of these companies that I work for, it's companies that I work for, right? I don't get to see growth, and it doesn't feel the same when it comes for your own.
I get
right?
that. Yeah.
So I ran across this guy, and he was like, "Hey man, look, I'm looking to team up and do some marketing, build a marketing agency if you're interested in that." And I said, "Yeah, tell me more. I'm interested to hear." And so he said, "I want to be as silent as I can be. I just want you to do your thing, and I'll help you out. But I just want to use you, and then we'll use other people too." He's like, "This will be your thing, and you move on." I mean, like, who could say no to that?
What an
right?
opportunity.
Yes.
I mean, how do you say no to that?
Yeah.
You have to jump in head first on that.
Yeah, and so I left a company. Like I said, I was vice president at a place, was getting paid well, and then was like, I'm gonna step out on my own. After being there for 13 years, that's a place where you'd never be fired.
Yeah. That's a big decision, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have control, and another thing is too is like I built that team from 4 or 5 people to 30. Like, that's significant.
Yeah.
When I handpicked every single person that came in there, we would go on recruiting trips, and I'd go to SCAD and start picking out the top students, and now I'm responsible for everyone's career that comes into my team. And that's a lot of responsibility when you start thinking about just what you owe somebody that decides to give you their career and their life. I don't take that lightly at all. I hope everybody that I bring in is better than me. I hope that they end up succeeding and flying past me, and that's my job. That's what I'm supposed to do.
I think
and
so too, man. Yeah.
Yeah, and then hopefully, like, we make cool crap on the way. You know what I mean? It's like that's
Build together.
I just think, I don't need it to be about me. I don't need it to be about, hey, let's get some shine on Brandon. Like, I think if we win as a team,
Yeah, what's that saying? A high tide raises all ships.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, making that jump over to this side was cool. But man, I had to start all over again. I had 30 people. Like, that was a lot of things. And I wanted to jump into this and do all of those things instantly.
Yeah.
Like, the things that I was running, I just didn't have the same people to have that same connection with to go, hey, you remember that thing we did last week? We need to do 2 more of those things, but we need to take it to a different level. Like, you just don't have that kind of communication that I'd had with some of those other guys. And so it's building from scratch, which is cool. And we've made a lot of progress in the amount of time that we've done. Like, I'm super pleased with my team, and so, but at the end of the day, like, I want to make sure that I am being responsible for those people, that it's their livelihood. This isn't just me going out and making some money.
Yeah.
These are people taking their life and putting it in my hands to make sure we make the right decisions to move forward. Because if I fail, we fail.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's just speaks on character, man.
Yeah.
For the people out there that don't really know what a creative agency is, can you explain what that is?
So a creative agency, there's marketing agencies, creative agencies. I really want to take the side of creative. I think there's marketing. It really, kills me when people come up and say, I don't really know what marketing does. What do you? I dump my money into you guys, and where does it even go? What is brand awareness?
It's hard to see on the back end.
Yeah.
If you're not just, like, say if you do like an advertisement and you're trying to get phone calls and you're not just flooded with an influx of calls, you're like, what am I paying for?
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah. But for our team, like, I wanted to make sure that we had an ROI behind everything. I named it the smoking gun because, like, in a legal proceeding or whatever, like, it's not real until they find the smoking gun. It's not a closed case. So what I wanted to do was leave my mark. I wanted to leave a smoking gun that people could find the trail to truth. Like, it's proof of truth. So show them ROI, show them reality, show them that our creative is doing this.
Right.
And with every way that we track things digitally, through SEO and PPC, LSAs, package design, website design, all of that stuff, we can show true ROI because of the engagements that we get behind them and also the trackability that we put into it.
I think a lot of people don't know about all that stuff. They don't know the back end is like, pay per click and stuff. They don't even know what that goes over people's head when you talk
say
about
PPC, and you can tell when somebody gives you a blank stare back.
Yeah.
Like,
what are you talking
where
about?
are we at?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's just not common talk with people. You got to be kind of in it to know it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's really something as a marketer, even me learning to talk to clients. You know, it's like it's one thing to do the business, but it's another thing to translate it to people that don't have any, and don't make anyone feel dumb for not knowing. You know what I mean? It's like we've all been at a place where we're learning, and everybody's learning all the time. So if you want to show a company and show them what you can do for them, you know, doing everything you can to educate them at the same time, that just builds trust, you know. And I don't ever want to falsify the truth. I don't ever want to build gaps of things that's not true, that I don't necessarily know the complete answer. You know, I think I say this all the time, but it's okay to say I don't know, you know, or let me do some research, or let me get back to you.
Right.
I think a client will start to respect you more if you give them, if they come at you with something and you go, you know what, I need to research this, instead of like spinning something of why no.
It's suspect.
Right.
If you go and you're just like, oh, I got that, got it, handled. You're like, do you though?
Yeah.
Are you just a yes man?
Right.
It gives that kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm. And so, you know, I think there's just a relationship. It's both of you, because I may know this one plan and how all PPC and SEO and all that stuff works for this brand. But if anyone's going to be honest with you as a marketing company, your brand is an individual fingerprint for you. Your consumer is an individual fingerprint for you. For me, I need to find out what that is, right? I need to do some research. I need to do some A/B testing. I need to find out, if I spend money here, does that really work good for your company? Or does that not work good for your company? And I need to bring it down a little bit and put it back over here, right? And so as we start to do that, that's when we start to see the ROI behind, because there's trackability. We put trackability in everything. And once we start to see what works, then we start funneling towards the things that work. Get one up, start working on the other ones. Get another one up.
Hope y'all are paying attention.
Just you have to do the things for someone's company that benefits them. And that's
right.
I just think a lot of companies get out there and rubber stamp everybody. And look, man, when you get busy, it's really hard to be so detailed on someone's company. Like, you got a lot of clients coming in, and next thing you know, you're like, oh man, how do I keep up with all this? Let's just rubber stamp last month's.
Yeah.
Well, then you get more busy, and you run that for 2 months, you know, and then you come up with reasons of why you're rubber stamping stuff, because their money's still coming in, but you're not really giving them the love that you gave them when you really needed them as a client to begin with.
You know what you're capable of.
So what I've told everyone on my team is, like, treat everyone like it's our first client. Treat everyone like it's our first day, like we're hungry for that. Because the moment that we give that up, like, that's when we start losing.
Yeah.
It just takes one person to say, dude, they didn't do anything for me, man. And that word of mouth is 10 times worse than if someone said, man, they're great. Because everybody says...
It travels so much faster, too.
Yes.
So much faster. If word gets out that your company is
yeah,
it's over.
Yeah. Everyone says, I got a guy, you know.
Right.
But the whole world is so tuned in when someone says, yo, someone sucks about something. You know, it's like, let me hear about it, you know.
So let's talk about the blueprint a little bit, the podcast we're working on.
Yeah.
So me and Brandon have been working on this podcast at work, which is, that alone has been tripping me out, because I go to work and it's been plumbing for fucking 15 years of my life, right? Yeah. Just plumb. And now I'm switched into like this creative mode where I have to use the other side of my brain for work, and I'm not used to doing that. It's usually, it doesn't feel like work to me, honestly. It feels like I'm just doing this.
Yeah.
And so it's been like a weird kind of transition personally for me. Mm-hmm. Switching off the mechanical mind and going to a creative mind within the same building, you know. But tell me a little bit about the podcast and how we came about it, what we're doing, what the future is, and
well, I mean, part of it is just like getting the word out for us in general, to show what kind of company we are. But we're doing that by bringing in other companies as well to let you tell their story, or for us to tell their story, you know. And there's all these different levers that people have done. And so I guess the main focus is bringing in people who've taken something from nothing and turned it into something? You know, how did you get from the mud out of the mud? How did you do that? You know, and everybody's got a different story for that. You know what I mean? It's like somebody will feel like they lucked into something. Someone will feel like, and you know what? I'll tell you this. I've talked to so many people who are so successful, and I would say 80% of them are like nervous they can't do it again.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing.
It's that imposter syndrome, right? You feel like you just lucked into something. You're like, I'm not supposed to be here. They're going to find me out. Like,
yes.
And I mean, that's kind of how I feel too. Like at work, like I'm like, man, I know I'm good at this, but like, am I good at it? Like, you know, you don't get a lot of validation through things. And, but this job for like you bringing me on has been validation for me. I'm like, okay, maybe I'm pretty good at this.
Yeah,
maybe I do know what I'm doing a little bit. But yeah, man, it's been a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, like for us to tell that story of someone who's not had anything and they built it up by themselves, right? As they go to start doing that kind of thing, like, I just want to inspire the other people out there to do the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, here's the blueprint, and that's why we call it the blueprint. Here's the blueprint of how these people took it from the bottom and raised it up. Now, it's going to hit all different levels, you know, as they go through, and all different avenues, too, because I don't want this to be a repetitive deal of, like, marketing.
Yeah.
Like, that kind of gets tiresome, even for me who joneses out on it, you know. But when I hear somebody tell their story and it's weaved into, like, passion, and it's weaved into, like, you know, how to, you know, like, there's so much of that can go in. And, man, everybody's got a story of, like, man, I put together this event and I just had some beads that I made and I put them on a wrist. And next thing you know, it's a cool thing. It's trending and blah, 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 right? There's this story that goes behind that. And if people can start to replicate that or duplicate that, it'll just give them the confidence to get out there and do it by themselves too, right? So that's kind of the focus of where I was going with this.
Yeah, if you get that information out there and people can do it themselves.
Yeah.
And you get people like Tex who just have such a, like, I feel like it's such an organic story. Mm-hmm. He did it for his streets, for the streets, you know, like in the streets, for the streets, rather.
Yeah.
And it's just been successful ever since because it's so real.
Yeah.
There's nothing fake about it.
Yeah, I've got everybody that I've picked for this so far, and it's not like I'm just saying I need anybody. You know, you and I have had conversations already, and I'm like, I'm not looking for somebody who's just talented. I'm looking for somebody that has a story, and their story of, like, how they built a brand, how they got something off the ground, something that people can look and recognize and go, I can duplicate that. If you just look at somebody who's talented and you go, well, that person's talented when they practice. Well, they may not be able to do that.
And it's totally doable. Like, I'll tell you, man, anything you set your mind to, like, you can go out there and do it. There's nothing holding people back anymore. Like, these days, you're foolish to not act on things, I think, and take chances, and because there's just so many opportunities to just dive headfirst into things and see where it'll take you.
Yeah. You know, luckily I've had a good support group growing up, and even my wife, who I've been with since she was 15 years old, right? She's always had my back. No matter what stupid decision I was making or whatever, she was like, babe, I believe in you. Let's go. And that means everything.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when you got somebody that you know you can mess up and they're just your ride or die, and they're sitting there going, yeah, well, let's do another one. Or you'll get it right. Or don't worry about it. You know what I mean? That's everything, you know?
Yeah, you got to have a team behind you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What's kind of the future for Smoking Gun? Do you have anything in mind, or are you thinking that far ahead yet?
Yeah, I mean, I've always described our agency as being a disruptor. I want to do, if everyone is going left, I want to go right. I do not want to copy everybody's marketing scheme, everyone's creative, everyone's here's the how-to to do something.
I respect the hell out of that, man. Yeah.
And so I am literally taking a rock and chunking it in the pond and seeing how big of waves I can make. You know, that to me is being a differentiator, being a disruptor. And I've always tried to do the things like you'll see 10, you know, garage door companies in a row talking about how good the springs are, or how good the whatever is on the garage door. But like the client that we have, Riker Roofing, it was like, he came to me and he was like, Brandon, I love your edginess. I want to really kind of push that out. And I said, well, this is what I want to do. I want to focus on everyone who's inside of the garage, who lives in that, because that's their home, that's their domain, right? And so what we did was, you know, we just started doing wild things inside the garage and recording those or doing images of those. And then the whole thing is about the door coming up and revealing what's inside of it, whether it be you're at a Super Bowl party inside there, or you're on your lawnmower playing the guitar, peeling out, or whatever, you know, like those types of things get exposed by the door going up. And it says, what you do in your garage is your business. And the door goes up and exposes what's inside there. And it says fixing the door, that's ours, right? Those types of things, it's subtle. Like you're really celebrating the garage, not the garage door. You're celebrating the moment, not the element, right? And so those are the things that I wanted to make sure that we pulled out of that. And having clients that are like, yes, I love that, just gives us the freedom, and that's the kind of clients I want. You know, ones that are, you know, willing to toe the edge, you know, on some things. Help me be a disruptor. Help me live my life to have those moments of like energy bursts and creative freedom. And I mean, it's fuel.
Yeah, when you say selling the moment, the first thing that came to mind was the Geico commercials. It's so easy a caveman can do it. They're selling that moment.
Yes.
It's easy to call me.
Yes.
You know, that's a good idea. I never thought about that. Look, tell me about the Gumball, dude, because so me and Brandon work in the same building, right? And before we got involved working together, I'd always see Brandon kind of walk by my office, and he had this Gumball 3000 jacket on, and I'd be like, man, was he in Gumball, or he just wearing that jacket, or what's the story? Like, what's going on here? Because I've always seen like the rally race, like the Gumball race, growing up. You know, you got all the Jackass guys and Ken Block. You know, it's just it's all those guys, right?
Yeah.
And then so I saw you wearing it, and you told me some pretty interesting stories, and I'd like you to share some if you're cool with it.
Yeah. So I worked for the company Hexbug, right? It was the little microbiota creature, which is like it vibrates. It looks like a little roach and it vibrates or whatever, right? Colorful pieces. And so, again, being a disruptor, I wanted to take and find out where my consumer is. So who is my consumer? Family, young kids, and where are they at, right? And so as we start going through trying to find out, man, do I need to take this to this place or to this place? So they're all common places where everyone's advertising. Everywhere I go, there's more toys there. There's more toys there. There's more toys there. And I'm like, gosh, man, look, if I'm a mid-tier company, a mid-tier toy company, how do I compete with the big dogs? Yeah. Like, how do I really step myself outside of that? When they go left, you go right. And so what I pitched was like, I want to go to the X Games. The X Games have all of my consumers there. They're there for a completely different reason, but they're there, right?
That's a good point, yeah.
And so I showed my demographic. I took it to the owners of the company. I said, here's the demographic. Here's who's here. It's in another location for us that'll help spread our brand even more. I want to go do this. And they were like, cool, let's go do it. And so I set up a booth, built a booth out there, called the X Games, got something, got on the right there on the midway in the middle of X Games. So it's like, you know, ramps on this side, and then there's like different businesses and stuff like Ford and everything else is down the line, right? So as we're doing that whole thing, right? So it's, you know, I set up that booth, and there's like hundreds of kids at our booth, and they're just piled up all the way around this thing, right? And they're 20 people deep all the way around. I'm like, man, this is really crazy. And I'm like trying to keep the kids from stealing the product. I want them to play with it, but man, I'm just like pulling out tray after tray after tray because these kids are like trying to pocket these things. And part of that's like, I don't really care because you're using our product. You're going to go away. You're going to tell somebody about this thing and show somebody, right? But at the end of the day, like I needed enough to make it through the entire, you know, show, which was 2 or 3 days, right? So long story short, it's packed. And all of a sudden I get this guy that comes up to me and he's like, hey, I'm the lawyer for Tony Hawk. And he wants to know what you're doing. Are you giving away money over here? Are you guys selling drugs? Like, how did you get this crowd? He's like, nobody has a crowd like you have over here. Yeah. And I said, man, I'm giving the kids some toys to play with, you know, and we set up a whole vehicle that was like a maze, like a 3D maze, right? And you'd set this little bug and it could crawl all the way through, and you would help change the path and put a different bug in, and you'd watch it go through, and everybody's talking, and it became a show, right? And he goes, would you mind coming up and meeting with Tony? He wants to talk to you. I said, yeah. So I went up, met with him, talked to him for a little bit. kind of sold him. He was like, I want to do a product with you guys. And so I went back and got the owners of the company, and we came back down and met with him individually and ended up doing a tech deck, but it was motorized, right? Remote control tech deck.
I'm tripping out because I've seen all this stuff you're talking about, and it's just tripping me out that it's you.
Yeah, yep. And so so the motorized one was there. I built all the ramps, did all that kind of stuff, and there's your tech deck stuff over there. And so, you know, once we started hanging out with him and talking, he was like, dude, you guys got some edge to you too. He's like, we do this thing called Gumball 3000. And I was like, oh, we've heard of Gumball 3000. Tell us more. He's like, well, it's invite only. He goes, but I can get you guys an invite, you know, if you guys are up for it. So me and the owner went to it for the first time. And this was 2015 maybe. And we went down there. We had such a blast. It's the first one started out in... where did we go for the first one? London to, Amsterdam. And then we went from San Francisco to Vegas, I think was the first one. But it's 3,000 miles, right? So you're in a car every day. You wake up, you drive, 10 to 17 hours a day. And then you get out of the car and you party all night long. And the next morning, you're 15 minutes of sleep before you have to get in the car again.
I've always wondered, is the Gumball like obviously it's a coordinated event, but like there's like stops you all stop at along the way and meet up and stay at same hotels and stuff like that?
Yeah, so
you're kind of all together the
well,
whole time?
Not necessarily, right? And so every morning they give you a route card.
Oh, okay.
And the route card will just give you the destination.
Okay.
At the very beginning.
So you're going destination to. It's not like a to B long race. It's destination to destination.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. Okay. And so you go from they give you a point, the first checkpoint, and that's all you get. You don't get the other checkpoints, and so you have to make it to the next checkpoint to get the next checkpoint.
Okay.
Right. And so you make it, and there's 2 stops every day. Right. And then you find out where your hotel is that day, and then because if you don't make it to each checkpoint, then you don't know where you're at, and you're just spinning off somewhere, right? Yeah. And so, anyways, you make those checkpoints, and we went through all these different places, met tons of people, really cool people. I mean, we called ourselves Team Texas, and we just started drafting other people onto our team, or other people started kind of gravitating towards our team. It was really cool, and so met tons of really, really good people that are my friends right now for years. We go on vacations together and we hang out and do those things. Like, the rule is you come to my city, I take care of you. If I go to your city, you take care of me. And there is no questions asked about that. Like it is a brotherhood now. And so anyways, we did that the first year, and then we did it again the next year, and then the next year. And so I did it 7 times. And then on the 6th time, we actually won the Gumball. It's a Spirit Award. I got a gold medallion, or a silver medallion. It's made from the same jeweler that makes the Queen's jewelry.
It's pretty cool.
And I'm sitting here thinking, man, this is on a, rednecks, guy in Hunt County, Texas. It's hanging it's tarnished and stuff. And I'm just, how wild is that,
Mm-hmm.
But that's how it went down. And so I made a lot of friends over the 7 years in that. We did that one. Then we did Cannonball Run. We did that probably 3 or 4 times as well. Currently doing one now called Rally to Give, which is in Boston, and it's all about giving to Special Olympics and kids in need and inner city kids that have never seen anything outside the streets, right? And so they bring these kids in, and I think Nixon's a sponsor, and several, and they bust them out to the mountains, and they give them clothing and snowboards, and they teach them stuff, and they get to keep it all.
Right.
And so they send them out into the mountains, and they teach them how to do it, and they get to ride for the first time they've been outside the city ever. And it's so cool. That to me is like this guy. You know what I mean? That's like sharing your experience. Like, you can be super wealthy and have done well in your life, but staying connected. You
got to get back to the hood, man. You got to if you leave, you got to come back and get back.
It's so good, man. And so I make sure that I'm in that one every year now. It's up in Boston, and I think it's in October this year. But and that one's a 3-day event. My wife and I go do that one together now. Okay. So super cool. So the rally part is a big part of my life. I've been I don't know, it's like 37 countries or something now. So it's helped me see a lot of the things. I've been to Japan, I've been to China, I've been to London, and Ukraine, and Latvia. I've been to everywhere really.
Right.
Ireland. I mean, Iceland. I've been to so many places, thankfully, because of this rally, and I'm so thankful for that opportunity. You know, because it really changed my mindset on how I view the world. You know, it's made the world a lot smaller for me too, because I just gotten to see some things, and I've made friends across, and they spread news to me, or they show me things, or whatever.
Right.
Had a guy call me the other day, and he was in Germany, and he took a picture, and he's like, "Are these some of the shoes you designed, Brandon?" And he literally takes a photo of the picture, of the shoes underneath the seat of the guy in front of him. And I said, "Yeah, those are mine. Where are you?" And he goes, "In Germany." And I was
so
like,
crazy.
First off, these two guys to see, and there's my shoes, and then he passes it to me, and like, how did he know that that's a small world.
The serendipity of all of that to like happen and all of that, like,
Yes, to be sitting right in front of him.
shit like that is like a validation for me that you're doing the right thing in life.
Yeah.
If shit like little coincidences like that happen,
Yeah.
that's just validation to me. You're on the right track. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, dude. I have this segment that I do in here. It's called Hit or Shit. I just name like 4 or 5 things, and you tell me if it's a hit for you or if it's shit for you.
Okay.
All right. So the first thing is Banksy. Hit or shit.
Hit. I mean, the dude, is it just hit or shit?
You can get into it.
Man. Hit, because anytime you can do something, I don't care. Look, man, I'm not here to judge the man's style or the way he's doing or whatever. The dude made a wave.
A huge wave.
And anytime you do anything in your life and you make a wave, man, bravo. Like, kudos to you. And then some of the cleverness that's come with, the painting. He said, "Don't ever sell my stuff at an auction."
And then he shredded it.
Well, then shredded it.
Yeah.
And the thing was selling for like, I don't know, $1.5 million. The moment it got shredded, now it's worth $4 million.
Yeah.
Like, so brilliant. It's like, but those things,
That's art to me.
to me, it's an absolute game of getting your name out there, and it's brilliant. It's just like the dude that sold the banana at Miami.
Right.
That dude
With
that
the
sold
duct
that
tape
banana
on it?
with tape on it.
Yeah.
Sold it for $150,000, and just as a joke, put it up there for $150,000. Sold it. The guy who bought it was another artist. And he said, "I'll buy that from you if you get everybody up here to take pictures of me buying it. Because I'm going to eat it in front of everybody."
Wow.
And when he did, his name got out there. He was an artist, and he went from selling his stuff for like $10,000 a piece to like $90,000 a piece.
Isn't that crazy?
Because he couldn't have bought that much media with anything else that he had done. It was so clever. Hit, for sure.
Man, that just blew my mind. That's outside of the box thinking right
For
there.
sure. Yeah, I'll spend $150,000 to eat that banana now. I'll make that up in the first 4 paintings I sell. And then from here on out, I'm making all those paintings the same price. That's brilliant. Hit.
All right. So hit or shit, Canva.
Shit.
I knew it.
Stop that mess. Do not bring that mess. Dikembe Mutombo. No.
No.
You're out of here. Next.
Yeah.
That's trash.
Why is Canva trash for you? Is it just because it's too many people using it that don't really know what they're doing?
No, I don't care about that. I hope everybody has a leg to stand on when it goes to creating something like that. If you're asking me, is it cool to give people an entry? Yes. Are you trying to fool me into thinking that is of equal par? Shit. Like, come on, man.
I'm glad you said it.
This thing does so much. Come on. Yeah. No.
Canva's great. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
For like, if you're just gonna throw up like a quick reel, not real thoughtful, you're just doing something quick, it's great.
Yeah.
It just makes it so easy.
Yep.
But if you're trying to do like some real production stuff
Yep.
and have some real high quality stuff, it's not the way to go.
Out.
No. All right. So hit or shit, having a song as your ringtone on your phone.
Back in the day, man, that was a hit. I can't tell you how many like Napster times I downloaded stuff for a song or whatever. And I mean, now do you even have a sound on your phone? Like if it makes a noise, you're like, stop.
So my phone's on vibrate
Yeah.
almost all day, but I have a song as my ringtone.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Inner Sandman.
Oh, nice.
Metallica.
Nice. I don't think I've heard mine even ring since 5 years maybe.
That's kind of the wave now, man. Everyone's just vibrate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of people do that.
Yeah, and I just tell them to keep calling me. It's in my pocket. Keep calling.
Okay, so next thing, hit or shit, spray guns rather than cans.
Spray guns.
Yeah, like a spray gun, like home painters use.
Oh, sure, man. Whatever. Like I got no problem with that. Like if you do heavy coverage, I think there's something to the type of paint or the type of mural you're doing, right? I don't care, if you're doing a giant wall and you need a ton of coverage, man, if I try to do that with a bunch of cans, that'd be dumb.
So it's just where it comes into play.
Yeah, it's where it comes into play, right? Like if you find a new way to make something cool happen, like make something cool happen. It's like AI. Everybody's fighting AI. I don't know if I'm stealing your stuff or not, but everybody's fighting AI. It's like, dude, you can get on board or you can get left behind. You got to figure out how to use this tool.
Exactly.
You got to figure out what to do with this thing, or it's gone. You're out.
And everyone's using it.
Yeah.
Every creator that I know, every creative person I know is using it in some fashion. Whether it's with the Adobe interface that they have now, or it's ChatGPT.
Which sucks, by the way.
You don't like it?
It's just not good.
The autofill?
It's just not good.
Like
it will be good. I can see where it's going. It's just not there yet.
Have you seen the AI stock video that it's a video generator?
Mm-hmm.
That is blowing my mind.
Yeah.
You can just type in scientist bunny jumps on a horse.
Yeah.
And it'll make a fucking video.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. No, and again, I'm looking at the details of how things are sewn together. It's just wonky. Right? So like if I go to do something, it just never lines up correctly with Photoshop. That Midjourney's been really good. I love Midjourney at the moment. You can create anything you want with that. But the Photoshop one, man, I can see where it's going. It's just not there yet. Now, over the last, month and a half, has even gotten 50% better than it was a month and a half ago. So, like I said, I can see where it's going. It's just not good right now.
It's getting there.
Yeah.
All right, so last thing on the hitter shit, Yeezy pods.
Look, man, I looked at my Spotify deal. You know how your music comes up at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. And I was in the top 1% of Kanye listeners.
Are you really?
The top 1%. So, yay. I'm your people. And probably because you're a disruptor, too,
He is the disruptor, right?
Yeah.
Name a bigger one. I don't think you can.
Trump.
Yeah. They're about on par, right?
Yeah. But at the end of the day, like, I love a lot of the things he does because they're completely unique. Man, some of the stuff he's doing now is so wild. Mm-hmm. It's just, I think, just for the news,
Shock value.
Yeah, it's just which is cool. Like, go do that. If you got some people that want to follow you and put some socks on their legs that look like, knee-high socks with some rubber soles, tear it up,
Mm-hmm.
It's collectability, and maybe I won't wear them, but I've got a lot of yays, I mean, my shoes that say Yeezy on the inside, they still say Yeezy, and I'm proud they say Yeezy. I don't need the old Kanye. I don't need the new Kanye. I just Kanye. That's kind of where I'm at. But I get real. I'm gonna go hit, but I ain't wearing them. So I would say that the theme behind that is I love the fact that he is always pushing.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
I think I fuck with that because I don't think I'd buy them myself, but I get the concept and I get what he's doing. And
yeah,
it's really what's the word I'm looking for? I mean, it's cool what he's doing as far as like it's semi groundbreaking. Mm-hmm. He's definitely on his own wave in his own lane.
Yeah. Well, shoot, man, that big bear suit he's wearing here lately, and suits that the stuff he's got his girl wearing. I mean, that sounds wild, But what are people doing?
It gets the people talking.
Yes. No, it doesn't. Yeah, it does. Absolutely. I mean, it just gets people, shooting photos and talking about it and do whatever. Like, there's ways to generate content. There's ways to get people talking about your stuff without having to be a jerk about it, And he gets people to do stuff by doing stuff that's wild. A lot of people that go throw shade at him or hate, like you ain't got nothing clever to say, so you just say somebody sucks,
right?
Or he's a jerk, or he's an idiot, or look how stupid you look.
You can't knock the hustle, man.
You cannot knock his hustle. He has got more hustle, even though. And you know what? I think even some of this, like, I'm on meds. I'm doing whatever. It's like he's like building this brand.
Yeah.
Like, cool, do it.
Yeah, that's total. That's marketing.
I'm
dude.
telling everybody I'm crazy, and now they believe what I'm doing. I'm into that. Like,
Dude, I hate that people don't see through it though, because
Yeah.
I see through it. And I'm
Yes.
like, oh, this is just a PR
Ooh,
stunt. Like,
yeah.
you know, but like the vast majority of people are just like, Kanye's doing another thing. like, dude, he's just trying. He's probably dropping an album in a week. Just chill out.
You know, the thing I love the most is like when Adidas tried to take the high road.
Yeah, and drop him.
They're like, we're better than this, guys. We're going to go ahead and take the high road, and we're going to take his name off. We're going to continue to sell these shoes. We're going to take his name off. I'm like, sucker. Yeezy was on the inside of the foot.
Yeah.
Everybody knows those are Yeezys. You just didn't want to lose your money.
Exactly.
Right?
I think they had like $1 billion worth of like
Yes.
unsold Yeezys.
Yeah.
When they dropped them.
Yeah, so they yanked that money, and then all of a sudden they started losing money as a company. And somebody up top was like, I don't care about y'all's initiatives. I don't care about y'all's cancel culture, which, by the way, anti-cancel culture. Stop that trash.
Please.
Nonsense. Let it be done. It's over. Stop it. But what they did with somebody up top was like, this cancel culture stuff, y'all are affecting our bottom line with what you're doing right now. And then all of a sudden, they about-faced and went the other way and brought it right back, which made them look even worse.
Dude, I thought so too.
I was like, what? It's like, you can't
Spineless.
even stand on it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So you thought you was doing something that was what everybody wanted you to do, which was going to be a big money driver for you.
Dude, isn't that what like most brands do nowadays? Pandering to an audience.
Yes.
I
It's
hate
so
that.
dumb. I hate it. It's like, they think that they're listening to a small segment of people, and they think
Right.
that's everybody
That's
because
what-
they're so loud.
Yes,
You
and that's
know?
what ruined Disney, honestly, because they started pandering to all this other woke bullshit, and-
Nonsense.
And now they're not what they used to be. Fuck all the conspiracies about Disney and all that shit. It's they ruined their company by pandering to an audience.
Yeah. Just it's sad to me. And I don't care what you believe. You can believe whatever you want. Like, I truly believe if you think there's aliens coming down here tomorrow, that's cool. That's your prerogative, But if you want me to believe what you want to believe, like, that's nonsense, right? You're forcing me to have your beliefs, but I have to have yours.
Yeah,
That's dumb. But then you take the business side of that, and you take the person that says, we're going to make the most money on this because that's what everybody's saying. And it's a financial decision. That's not standing on what you believe. That's standing on where you believe the check line's going to fall.
right. And what kills me is like, why are we asking these brands opinions on anything?
Yeah.
Same thing as why are we getting mad at comedians for telling a joke?
Yeah.
Why are we worried about the joker's opinion? It's shit like that. It's like you're worried about the wrong things.
Here's another thing that I'm going to throw out. Why is it when someone goes to get canceled, which I don't know if I'm talking about canceled too much, I'm going to get canceled, but whatever. Why is it when someone goes to get canceled, the first response is they lose their job?
Right?
Like, this person isn't allowed to work because you don't like their opinion? But as soon as they lose their job, you're okay with them going back and getting another job, or they can never work again?
We'll take it a step further.
Like, where is that?
Go to North Korea, or was it China that lady just got busted for that like $1 billion fraud over there? She had 3% of the domestic GDP in her bank account.
Yes.
And they're sentencing her to death.
Yeah.
For that. So I mean, it's vast, right?
Yes. Right. So I don't know, man. I just think that it's okay to be different, man. I think it's okay to celebrate being different.
Absolutely.
But don't do it to the point where we divide ourselves up by it. It's like, you think your thing is so important, I need to tear everybody down who's not my thing. Well, this person over here thinks my thing is so important, I need to tear everybody down who's not my thing. Goes right back to this. Like, we're all in this together, man. Like, we're all rowing the same oar, And so at the end of the day, like, if you ain't on, just get out. Like, stop messing with us. We're trying to hustle. We're trying to do our thing. We're trying to work. We're trying to get busy, and you just constantly throwing shade for what purpose? Right. Because somebody got ahead and you didn't, or what? What's the true thing? What's the true thing that's getting people mad? Like, why are you focusing on somebody else? Focus on yourself.
Right. Quit worrying about everybody else.
Yeah.
Do your own thing.
Yeah.
Pursue your own passions. I can't stand people that just get mad at the world and, well, have you tried anything else?
Yeah.
You know, have you tried another routine in your life? You know, have you done something?
Yep.
Well, no. Well, there's your problem.
Yeah, you just want to you want to get mad at somebody else for doing something different, man. It's just let them do their thing. I don't know if they're hitting or shitting, but
Oh, that was over. This is a question I ask everyone that comes on here, and it's more of like not a philosophical question, but it ends up being that. How do you experience time? I mean, you're an older guy now, and you look older than me, I'd say. But how have you experienced time throughout your life? Has it just been like just a fast track for you, or sometimes slow? Like, how do you experience it?
I'll tell you what really has been weird. The older I get, the faster it goes. You know, it's like I still, in my heart and my mind, feel like I'm 22, 23 years old.
Okay.
But Monday's here, and then Friday's here.
Yeah.
And then Monday's here, and then Friday's here. And then January's here, and then February's here.
I can relate to that.
And then Christmas is here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, it just goes so fast. You know, I'm a big teddy bear when it comes to my family. Like, I love them to death, and I would do anything for them. Right or wrong, I got y'all, no matter what. I don't care how it goes. I got y'all. But watching them grow up, I got my oldest is 18. My youngest is 15. He'll be 16 in December. And just watching them turn into young men that I'm responsible for helping make them who they are, right? I see that I don't have as much time to do that as I thought I did. You look at it and you go like, I got 5 years to make this person. Dude, 5 years is nothing.
Nothing.
5 years is nothing. I'm telling you, man, I'm 47 years old. And I can't even remember turning 40. Like, it's gone, you know? And so what's it going to be like and I'm not saying I'm even at my pinnacle of what this ramp is. I just know the ramp is really sped up, you know? And when I'm 50, or then when I retire, and then day after day becomes the same day, and next thing you know, it's like, hell, I just been on rinse and repeat for 4.5 years now.
Do you think that's probably why it seems like you're moving so quickly? Because you're so busy all the time?
Yeah, probably so. Like, my day-to-day is packed. You know, like, I get up in the morning, and my alarm goes off at 7 o'clock in the morning. I get up, take a shower, talk to the family, hug my kids, kiss my wife on the face. We leave. I get to the office by 8:15, 8:30, right? I'm there. Sometimes I take lunch, sometimes I don't, but working nonstop until 7 every day.
Feel you.
Yep. Go home, have dinner with the wife, talk to the kids. How was your day? Talk to the wife. How was your day? You know, spend some time together. 9 o'clock, I'm out in the shop trying to paint. If I'm not painting, I'm working on a contract, working on emails, trying to get podcasts together, trying to do things like that. 1 o'clock comes around. Next thing you know, it's like, man, I need to start wrapping this up because I had to get in bed. Dude, I've cut it back from I used to do it till 3 o'clock every morning and then get up at 7. For 10 years, I went from 3 o'clock in the morning waking up at 7 every day. Yeah, so it's a grind, man. Like, here's the reason I think I'm like this. I had a friend die when I was 35 years old.
Okay.
This guy was super athletic, great shape, was skiing on a trip with his family, was going down the hill. He was a great skier. Could do like flips and all kinds of stuff, right? Was skiing downhill, and this little girl, 6 or 7 years old, came off the lift and slid out in front of him. He went to dodge her and hit a tree.
No.
And do you remember like the Hamlin guy that got hit in the NFL? Yeah. Just got hit just perfect and stopped his heart. Yeah. They ran out there and they did the paddles on him, brought him back, right? But he had to sit out for a year, right? Same thing happened when he hit the tree. It was just perfect at the right time of his heartbeat. It just stopped it. But he's on a mountain. There's nobody that can get up there and save him. So his family sees that. He's up there with him.
Man.
His wife finds out she's pregnant at the time.
No.
So they now have 3 kids, and so we've started a charity for that guy and celebrate his life every year, blah, 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 right? But it just made me think, like, life is so fragile. Like, it's it's gone. And I just want to make sure that I just spend every moment maximizing that time, because I'm telling you, I'm 47. Where did the time go? I don't feel like I'm 47. I just don't feel it at all. Time may be catching up and I may be showing it, but I just don't feel it, And so I just feel guilty, I think, for even the time that he doesn't have to spend with his family if I'm not maximizing my time. So, yeah, that's kind of made a mark on me as far as time goes. It's on a fast scale and it's borrowed.
I like your answer, man. That was really good.
Thanks.
Yeah, but I think fatherhood's one of those, like, I'm a young dad. You've been doing it a lot longer than I have, but it's one of those things that, like, I didn't know my dad. I never met him, and so I've never really had like a guidebook how to be a dad. So I take from other people, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna build my version of a dad. And I really relate to what you said about the time with you is just slipping, and it feels like it's going faster and faster, and like your time with your kids is so
brief.
It's so brief.
Yeah.
And we're so busy and hectic. Our lives are just hectic with work and shit, and it's a struggle to only spend 3 hours a day with your family, and you spend so much other time with people at work, and that becomes like your work family. You spend more time with those people than your actual family.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but I really liked your answer, man. It was great.
Yeah, man, it's one of those things where you really have to think about like what your input is, and what you're trying to get out of something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
what's your return?
Yeah. Fatherhood changed me when I remember, like, I grew up in the church as well. Like I said, my grandma threw a pad at me to keep me quiet in the pew, right?
Yeah.
And but I've always been kind of a edgy version of a Christian, right? And so when I had my son, I remember just thinking, like, man, I'm questioning everything about everything right now.
Everything.
And so I went back and did a whole lot of studying and did a whole lot of like finding out about who I am and what I believe and everything else at that point. And it was real cool that I could kind of delve back in and really dissect. And not because someone told me something, but because I believe it for myself, or I believe something for myself, or I figure something out for myself, But it's my responsibility to do that because of a father.
Yeah.
The first moment you look in your kid's eyes, like, you lock, and it's like, man, I can't even explain that to somebody else who's never had a child before.
You can.
And it just literally changed. The moment it happens, that page is turned, and you'll never be the same person again. And you have a whole new onset of life and what your responsibilities are. So to me, like, that's everything. And so that being taken away from him has really just tried to, gear it up for me,
I've always, I heard someone sometimes say, they said something along the lines of, I don't want to watch my kid grow up on a phone. Like, through pictures and videos, and I want to be in the moment with them.
Yep.
And that really hit me, because I was like, damn, in this digital age, we all kind of watch our kids grow up on a phone.
Yep.
Whether it be through Instagram or someone sending you a video or something like that. I got a painting down in the bathroom that says, "Be here now."
Yeah.
Just to kind of remind me.
That's cool.
Just be here now.
Yeah. One thing that I've really tried to focus on as my kids have gotten older too is, like, it's not making them come hang with me. It's what are they doing and how can I become involved with it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I've noticed that too.
So I went and bought an Xbox and jumped on Xbox, and I got the
dude.
stupid headset, and I'm like, what games we playing, guys?
Yeah.
And so they're all better than me, but I'm there and we're joking and we're laughing about stuff. And it's like, I just want them to know I want to be there. I want to be a part.
Yeah.
And so it's our responsibility to invest ourselves into them, not their responsibility as a kid to be thankful that we're feeding them or whatever.
Your kids want to have the best relationship with you as they can. They want that.
Yeah.
No one wants to have a shitty relationship with their parents.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome, man. I got another question for you here.
Yep.
That's a good little change of topic here. What's your favorite shoe and why? You're a shoe head like I am, a little sneaker head, and you've always come to work in some fly kicks. And so what's your favorite one?
I gotta thank the guys at Sneaker Politics who really got me into shoes. Like, I didn't have a lot growing up, and we definitely couldn't go get some shoes, of that level, coming up. But I've always seen shoes and respected shoes and stuff from afar, just knowing I couldn't get them. I tried to keep it out of the back of my mind. But when I started doing some artwork for Sneaker Politics, they kind of got me into the shoe game and checking those things out. And so, thanks to you guys. But it's come a long way, with those guys. And I would say, man, dunks are cool. I love some Jordan 1 lows. They fit my foot better. They're a little more classic. But I go through ebb and flows, man. I got some lost and founds I ain't taken out of the box yet. I got some cool Kais, Those are kind of like, culture shoes from, taking Jordan 1 lows and doing their own thing. I don't know if you know who that is or not, but it's the lightning bolt on the side of the Jordans. Yeah.
Did you see they just won their lawsuit?
Yeah.
Or Bape did, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bape. That's wild. I wish I would have known that one before we talked to Tex. I would have brought that up with him.
Yeah. I love those shoes, but I think, gosh, out of everything I got, there's a really big smattering. I counted them the other day. I was like 90 pair of shoes or something I had in my house, and I was like, yeah, this is a problem.
I was just joking with Mason at work the other day. I was like, man, he probably got like 30 pairs of shoes. You got 90?
Yeah.
I was just exaggerating 30.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's a thing.
Where the fuck you keep all that, dude? Like, you got like
Look, I've been building spots in my closet. Like, I'm just like revamping the whole thing. I'm building like shoe shelves, and I don't know, man. Like I told you the other day, like as you do better, like it's those little things that kind of keep you going. And sometimes you get bummed, man. You get like there's two ways you can do it. Like you can go spend some time talking to a therapist, or I can go get me some shoes, make me feel better for a couple of days. It's like you choose. It's the same price, so.
Where am I going to get that dopamine from?
Yes. Where are you going to get it to turn around? So, man, I guess Jordan 1 lows are probably my jam.
Okay.
But I love it to be a special material. I love the material that each one's made with. Yeah. And so I got some that I like snakeskin on them, or I got some that got, some like really heavy suede, like some real gritty suede. So, I don't know, man, if it's thick and chunky, I kind of like that stuff. So, I mean, the Krugers are my favorite.
Those are sweet.
But, they're $50,000, for a pair of shoes.
50 grand,
yeah,
really?
50 grand. So,
God damn.
Yeah.
Mason, we talk about shoes all day, me and Mason. Yeah. And he wants to get some of those chunky dunks.
Yep.
Those are badass.
Yep. And the funny thing is, too, is like I talked to you about the therapy thing. So I got my kids in on shoes, and there was a time where, one of my kids was like really struggling. They had some people that were kind of throwing some shade his way. And so we were talking about things that we could do or whatever. And so I was like, man, I want to get him some kicks. So I took him to one of the like shake back Sundays for Sneaker Politics. It was like they throw on like bean bags and cornhole and beer pong or whatever to win a pair of shoes, right? Or win the opportunity to buy the shoes at cost, right? It's like a drop or whatever. And so I took them with me, and they played, and he threw one in and got it, and so he signed up for shoes, right? And so he went to shoes and got those shoes, and he took them to school, and everybody at school was talking about, oh, cool shoes, love your shoes. Teachers, principals.
He's getting love from the teachers?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, and they're all like, I see you with the kicks, And so he came back, and he was in such a great mood. And I'm like, what's going on? He's like, man, everybody was talking about my shoes today. And so he wore them. He couldn't wear them every day because he didn't want to, lose that. So he started sprinkling them in. And then he was like, you think I might be able to get this pair? And so he started shooting me like stuff on sneakers or GOAT or whatever. And he's like, I want these. And I'm like, yeah, chill out. Those are $700. Like, let's
go down, simmer down a little bit.
Yeah, let's wait for a drop, or let's do something like that when you get you something. But no, he's gotten into it. And like, what could I do? How would I change my son's feeling of himself, right? Would I let somebody tell him he's great, or would I buy him a pair of shoes and he gets little compliments all over the place? Yeah. Right? You get those little compliments from everybody. It's like, oh, man, I'm feeling it. You know what I mean?
Boosts his confidence.
Yeah, And you can get shade from somebody, and somebody cut their eyes at you when you're walking by, or they can go, woo, and then it's like, that's the jam. You know what I mean? So to me, I love shoes because it's just, I didn't really have those, and my parents took care of me. Thank you very much. We didn't do without, but we got 2 pair of shoes a year. You got to choose what you wanted. you know, and so we got one at the beginning of school and one about January, and then we kind of did it that way amongst the cleats too. I know you got his cleats. But that's the way we did that thing, you know, and we never got like Jordans or rarely Nikes anyways as well. But as we start to go through that, I've really enjoyed doing that for myself and like kind of picking that thing up. So to me, that's a win, you know, when it comes to my kids kind of doing the same thing, and it's something we can talk to about as well. Yeah. Hey, check these out, or I'll send him something. Oh, yeah. Look at these drops that are happening.
Yeah, me and my son do the same thing.
It's more communication between you and your kid, you know. Even if you don't get them, you're like, hey, look, dude, these Travis Scotts just dropped today. You like them?
Anything to build that relationship, communicate, because, man, I know kids are just so on their phone now, and like they're clicked up talking to their friends, and they don't want to talk to their dad or their parents, you know. But if you can find something like that to kind of just click on like that, because me and my son, that's what we click on too, is shoes. So we do the same thing. We'll send each other shoes, and I have to tell him, hey man, you know, those are kind of pricey. You know?
Yeah. Or even memes and stuff. Like I'm getting memes galore from my kids right now.
I can't wait for that,
dude. It's great, you know. And you're also going to pass a time where it's like you go from them being a kid and kid humor to adult and adult humor, and you're like, I'm a dad, should I laugh at this?
Right.
I mean, because I'm laughing with my people, you know, like I'm sending like nonsense to people all the time. I just love slapstick and stupid stuff. Like I love that. But when it gets to, you know, that with your kid, there's a threshold, and sometimes they step over that, and it feels like, you ever seen the movie Field of Dreams?
Yeah.
You know, when the doctor's walking off the field, the little girl's choking with a hot dog on the side, and he comes up to the rocks, right? And he's sitting there with those rocks, and he's like, if I step over these rocks, I never come back. You know what I mean? That's the threshold you step with your kid. And once you start having adult humor with them, you never go back to being a kid. You never.
You can't take that back.
Yeah, they see you as they see you now.
Yeah.
Right? And you see them as you see them. And so it just changes, you know, but that's a cool thing, and I'm excited for the next level and the next level and the next level, and Lord willing, I'm here for another 50 years or whatever it is. Like I'm super thankful that I get to spend it with, you know, my kids, and I hope that I'm a cranky old man that gets to, you know, talk shit to my grandkids and tell them not to take no stuff off nobody, and I hope I'm wearing the same onesie jumpsuit and just cranky all the time. That's my goal, man. That's me. That's what I want to be.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
That's a great thing to aspire for, man.
Yep.
So to wrap all this up, I want you to kind of, what is a resource or something that you wish you knew kind of before starting your whole journey into marketing and everything, or a resource that you use today that's just been so helpful to you that you would like to share to everybody? Or like a book or something that just like really clicked with you and that helps you.
Gosh, I don't know. There's really any one thing.
Just like an amalgamation of a whole bunch of things.
Yeah, I mean, I think understanding that, you know, you may not have it all figured out, right? And not trying to convince people that you got it all figured out. And then listening to people who've been there before you and just trying to take that and then research it, right? Yeah. A lot of times nowadays, like, people are jumping to Google first thing to tell you the answer. And sometimes life experience ain't on Google. You know, it's just not. And so understanding that it's not always one right answer has probably been, I don't know, one of the biggest things for me. But I guess the biggest thing that I've leaned on has not been a book, but it's just been people, you know, older people that have been there before me, listening to them. I got two people that have, you know, really led me in my career. Fred Huffman. I'm sure Fred doesn't even know if I remember his name anymore, but Fred was an old dude, man. Fred was 50 years old when I was young, and I was 22 or 3, and Fred and I just hit it off. You know, he was, you know, always talking about his life and his experiences. I can see what he'd gone through, but I've always been able to kind of connect with young and old people. It didn't really matter what your age was. It was about, you know, kind of who you were, and Fred and I kicked it off. And so Fred taught me a lot in life about, like, the experience and how to work with people and things like that. They called me, what do they call me? Superstar or whatever it was. And I was like, I thought at the beginning, because I'd go Golden Boy is what it was. Oh, we got the Golden Boy over here. He's been winning all these competitions against the agencies, right? And so I thought that was a thing. I thought, oh, it's a compliment. And I realized it was people actually thinking like, I thought my stuff didn't stink, you know? And so Fred kind of tuned me into like, it's not about how you work. It's about how others work with you.
Yeah.
You know, those are resources that aren't on Google.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Those are the things that you can't find. So the other guy is Bruce Wynn Jones. Bruce still is a creative in the Dallas area, but he taught me a lot of how to manage, and he taught me a lot about life as I was going through this as well. And then to always like be in the moment for where I was at, because I was always the guy that was like striving to be the next level every single time.
Mm-hmm.
And Bruce, I remember one time him stopping me, and I got a job offer, and I'd worked with Bruce through different jobs. He'd carried me through a couple places, and maybe 12 or 13 years through a couple different places. And Bruce looked at me and he goes, Brandon, you're at the most creative spot you'll ever be in your career right now. After this moment, it will be less about you creating and more about you teaching others to create, and then managing those jobs as you
That's
create.
a pivotal moment right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he goes, you step past this line. He goes, you take that other spot. He goes, what you're ready for and you should take is best for your family.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just telling you right now that this is the threshold. And that ain't in Google.
Yeah, you got to get that from somebody who lived it.
Yeah. So I guess if you're asking me what I learned from the most, it ain't been a book. It ain't been some knowledge about how to get more PPC clicks. It's been like people telling me to recognize the moment and how to carry myself, you know.
Awesome.
So
I love it.
yeah.
Is there anything else you want to throw out? Any ats or where you can find you?
BADAMS art is just about everything. So Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I don't know, is TikTok still a thing?
I think it's on the way out.
But it's BADAMS art, BADAMSART. And then BADAMSgallery.com for my website. So you can check me out at those. Our podcast will be The Blueprint.
Yeah, y'all be looking out for that. It's another production that we're doing. Really interesting people coming on there, and you might learn something.
Yeah. And if you want to check out our marketing company, it's you can go to nosmokenofire.com. It's the smoking gun. So that's us.
Awesome. Well, thanks for doing this, Brandon.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate it. Everybody tuned in. Y'all be you. We're going to be us. Later.
Thank you.
If you'd like to see raw, unedited, live episodes, follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/whatsupwiththat. To watch full episodes of What's Up With That, subscribe to us on YouTube at youtube.com/whatsupwiththat.